Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Hunt, Fish, Live podcast. In this episode, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite springtime activities, as well as about my trail camera rescue and deer scouting mission from the other day. Let's get into it. Now that spring has officially sprung, it is time to get out and do one of my favorite things to do in the spring, and that is bluegill fishing. As far back as I can remember, probably starting around age 16 or 15, I would take my little tin can aluminum boat over to a lake that was close to my parents' house right around now. A few weeks to a month after ice out, and when the water is starting to warm up close to shore, my buddy Brandon and I would bring our bluegill gear and we'd go fishing. The first time we did it, we never expected to catch anything. It was just one of those days where we had to get out and do something. So we grabbed some worms and grabbed some fishing poles, hooked the boat up to the truck, and headed to the lake. Like I said, never expected to catch anything, but there was a couple old timers out there that were fishing. They were bluegill fishing. They're sitting in their boat. They're casting towards shore, but they were quite a ways offshore. They were catching fish, and so we were like, we gotta figure this out. So we decided to go shallow. I've never been one to fish out deep for anything, and that's also including panfish. So we found an area. Well, it was just everywhere in this lake. We were fishing close to shore, probably a foot to 6 inches of water, maybe. In our minds, the warmer days and the more intense sun was heating up the shallow water faster, which it was. And these bluegill were up shallow feeding on whatever they feed on up there. And so we'd get wooden bobbers, the really thin ones with the spring on the end, and we'd have 6-8 inches of line out before the hook after the bobber, put a little piece of leaf worm on there or whatever, and threw it up shallow right next, as close as we could get to lily pads that were starting to come up, and anything, grass, the tall weeds like the cattails and stuff. Just get it close to that and in shallow, and all of a sudden we would never use any weight on these rigs at all either. So the bobber would lay flat on the water, and when a fish hit it, it would stand up, it would slowly stand up, or if the fish would just bite it, it would pop the tip up a little bit. But it was a weightless approach, and I feel like with those bobbers and fishing like that, the weightless approach gives you an ultra sensitive. We started in the front corner of this lake, really close to the boat ramp, and within not even a minute of fishing, we had our first fish, and they were never small. Everything we caught was big. Big for bluegill, big for that lake, and you could do that anywhere in this lake. So we'd go around, we'd catch close to a double limit and be good to go. We then turned our buddy Tom onto this way of fishing for bluegills here at that lake, and he was all about it. So we would go with him a lot, and Brandon and I would do it often, and we had so much fun. It was a blast learning to fish like that. And even to this day, right around now, we take the boat out to any of the lakes around here, and we can do the exact same thing. My wife loves fishing for bluegill and other panfish, and this time of year, it's her time to shine. I mean, steelhead season's still going on too, but she does love catching some early season bluegill. There was one day, quite a few years ago, we were out in the boat that we called the Gong Show. It's a aluminum boat that I painted blue that my uncle bought me back when I was like 17, and we call it the Gong Show, and because it was always just a just a shit show of a boat, and we took it out, and the big motor, I say big motor, the 5.5 horsepower Evinrude wouldn't start, and so we had to use the 40 pounds of thrust trolling motor, and we motored over to this little island, and we're fishing, and it was a catching day. We caught a limit of bluegill, and in the middle, it was literally one after another. We probably caught 300 fish that day. It was insane. But we were only able to keep 25 apiece. It was a ton of fun, and one of the most memorable things about that trip was we're sitting there fishing in the boat, hanging out, having a good time, having a blast, and all of a sudden we felt this thud sound under the water and like in the bottom of the boat. It was so weird, and it felt funny. It sounded funny. It was just crazy. And then we get done fishing and get on Facebook on the way home or whatever in the parking lot, the boat ramp, and we find out that there was an earthquake that you could feel in Michigan, and that was pretty insane. It was it was interesting to feel through the water like that. The fish didn't stop biting, and they provided us with a great experience, a literal pile of nice-sized bluegill that we brought home, cleaned up, and have long since devoured because they're just so tasty in the spring. I don't know what it is. There's something about it when the ice leaves and the water is still cold. The weeds are just starting to grow. Everything's just fresh in the spring, and the panfish and the bluegill especially, when they're in shallow, in that cooler, colder water, they taste so good. It's my favorite time of year to eat bluegill for sure. So what we use to catch these is, like I said earlier, a wood stick bobber with a 6 to 8 inch leader and then a hook. You usually just use a gold hook, like a number 6 or a number 6 Aberdeen color hook. These days, well, before we would tip them with a piece of night crawler or a part of a leaf worm or whatever, but nowadays, my wife and I switched over to using wax worms for panfish because a guy that I used to work with only uses them. He's like, dude, you should try it. It's way less messy, and they work just as good, if not better. So we've been using wax worms for panfish, bluegill, crappie, perch in the summertime and in the spring, and have had great success. A lot of times we're catching fish when other people aren't. So if you're not on the wax worm bandwagon for bluegills, get on it. It's a good one to be on. You won't have sticky, messy hands. Your boat or anything won't be covered in that dirt that's in the worm buckets, and you'll have a great experience and catch a ton of fish. Switching gears and changing lanes, I had a little bit of time the other day, and the weather was perfect. I took my daughter, and we went out to the state land to try to find my trail cameras. Now, I have marked them on my GPS and on Onyx, and I always have a hard time finding them because I guess there's not great signal out there, and for some reason the pins aren't as accurate. So I always end up going out there and standing for 5 minutes looking around in trees and trying to find where they are. I eventually find them, of course. I have had them deactivated. They're all stealth cam cellular cameras. I had 2 of them in the area, and I didn't think they were producing many pictures and much intel, so I deactivated them and made them stop sending me pictures a couple months ago. So anyway, we had the perfect chance to go out and find them. It was my daughter's first trip out into the woods doing deer hunting things, which was pretty awesome. Hopefully there are many more of those to come as she gets older. But we ended up finding the trail cameras pretty easily. She had a blast doing it. We got to scout a little bit and look for deer tracks and look for deer poop and look for old rubs and deer trails. And we didn't really find much in that area between the two cameras. So we were going to go across the street and do some scouting over there where all the deer come from. But we didn't make it across. She had to go to the bathroom and really just wanted to go home. So we did find a couple good crossings where deer crossed the road. So I did mark those on my map, and I will be headed back in the next few weeks before the trees start to get green and before turkey hunters hit the woods for turkey season in April. Turkey season is also a great time to scout for deer. I usually do. It's helped me find a few spots for deer hunting that I want to put cameras out and do some heavy scouting and take some intel and gather some information on the deer that are in the area. So yeah, looking forward to that. I got turkey season coming up in the second week of May. I think May 10 is when mine starts. I usually do a later season just because I get more time. When you do an early season, you get one weekend normally, maybe two. You do get 2 full weeks typically, but just one weekend. And if it rains that one weekend, then you're stuck hunting in the rain. And I do not like hunting in the rain. I just don't like getting wet. I don't like my camera gear getting wet. I don't like my gun getting wet. And I don't like getting wet. So I usually try to avoid that. I go for the longer seasons just for that particular reason. Gives me more time in the woods and gives more opportunities to go hunting and harvest a Michigan longbeard. So much fun. I have a great story to tell you about that. It's my first turkey hunt ever. Or first successful turkey hunt ever. It was a few weeks, or quite a few years ago, probably now. 8 years ago. Anyway, that is going to be on a future episode, and you're not going to want to miss that one. It's a pretty crazy story. Ended up with some wild times and a couple swear words, but little foreshadowing, I did end up killing the bird. So make sure to stick around and stay tuned for that episode. That is going to be a great one. So when you getting back to the trail camera thing. So when you turn off the camera's cellular plan to send you pictures, it still takes pictures, right? So, and the whole time it takes pictures, even if it doesn't send them. So I got the cameras home and started looking at going through 1,000, 2,000 pictures, and I found that the one spot there was more deer than I thought there was. You just couldn't see them on a phone screen. I had to get them off of the memory card on the computer, bigger screen. It saves them in high def on the memory card. So plug that into my computer and was able to find some good deer numbers, I should say. I only had 1 or 2 bucks on the camera that was in an area that we call Hole Alley, because all the doves go through there. This year, well, last year when I put the camera out, I put it on a trail that they used very heavily, and for whatever reason this year they started using like a new trail, probably 10-15 feet past the old, like further away from the camera than the old trail, and it went through some pine trees. So I could just see that there were deer going through there on my phone and through the Stealth Cam app. But when I had the ability to look at the actual memory card on the computer, there were deer, a bunch of does, and there was a really nice buck that came through actually in early February. So there was more action in the area than I had thought. So maybe I'll go back there and keep hunting the area and keep scouting that area. Then I'm going to go a little bit further back this year and closer to the bedding area where these deer are going through, or where they're going to when they go through Hoe Alley. Just want to get a little bit further away from the road. I don't think people go. Well, I know they go because I've seen guys walking on trail cameras on a mission going towards where I want to go, but excuse me. That's what I'm going to do. There's another, like a little field, I don't even know what you call it, an opening. It's kind of a field in the state land too that I'm going to try to scout this year. I got to figure out how to do it because the edge of this clearing is all brushy, and that's where all like the tree limbs and stuff go. So I don't feel comfortable putting out a trail camera post on state land that's not connected to anything like a tree, and it's hard to hide that way, and I frankly do not want my stuff stolen again. Been there, done that on state land in another area, probably 40 minutes from 25, 30 minutes, I should say, not 40, from where I'm at, and I was disappointed in losing my camera, losing tree stand, 2 tree stands, and a trail camera, actually. So I try to avoid keeping things in the open and obvious on state land because you never know who's going to walk through there. You never know what their intentions are, if they're just scouting or if they're out to take something that doesn't belong to them. State land hunting is difficult in that aspect. It's harder to scout and harder to use. I mean, obviously, because everybody can use it. It's not private land. So one of the things you got to do is you got to hide things hide your trail cameras on state land. I typically put them 9-10 feet off the ground, pointed down, and deer never see them. The squirrels find them, and people have never seen them either. So we'll just keep doing that. Probably put them back out in a month or two, probably after turkey season. A good inventory and get some good scouting in before it gets too warm out for the summertime, and just gather all the information I can to be successful this upcoming deer season. Well, that's it for this episode of the Hunt Fish Live podcast. While you're waiting for that next episode to drop, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what your favorite way to catch those hungry post-ice bluegill is. Thank you all for listening. I'll catch you later.